This Guy's Garage. Like and subscribe.
We were recently present at a closed conference in DC on the topic of emerging technologies. And the audience was mostly composed of military and intelligence agencies from Five Eyes. And they asked us on how we are able to accomplish all that we have showcased. And my answer was quite simple. These ladies don't sleep. That's how you accomplish what they have done. And truth be told, it's them empowering me and not vice versa. Also, let me say that I regret that this hearing cannot be conducted in camera, as I believe is the term, because I wanted to share some of the accomplishments of the conducted cyber efforts that have surprised both the military and intelligence agencies that are present. And I also have critical information pertaining to security of all NATO countries that was acquired by cyber means. And I'm quite certain that the Western agencies don't have that information available. So I would appreciate if we could afterwards establish some secure communication channel with here present committee, whom me and my colleagues trust, not only because Canada was doing it and helping Ukraine while others were just talking, but also because we know from other experience that members of the committee are trustworthy.
I'm going to start with Mr. DeBoer, but I might actually ask all three witnesses to comment on my question. I want to talk about the threat of what I guess I would think of as sort of corporate espionage or the vulnerabilities within the private sector to cybersecurity. There was an article recently that talked about how hackers can manipulate the temperature of a barn and wipe out livestock populations, or that the food chain and the food supply chain in Canada is particularly vulnerable to cyber attack. But so that goes well beyond, though, just the damage to a private corporation. This goes right to food security, things like that. So I'll maybe start with you and have each witness comment on the vulnerabilities within the private sector that affect national security.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. An excellent organization. The focus of cybersecurity up until now has been largely on what we call enterprise, right? IT systems. But one of the largest gaps that has emerged is a focus on operational technology. These are typically systems that control, for instance, electric grid, gas power turbines, industrial control systems and pipelines, et cetera. And a lot of these systems are now coming online. What we've witnessed in the U.S., for instance, related to the Colonial Pipeline attack, or even in Florida to the Oldsmar water system. These systems were not designed to be connected to the internet, and now, including farm equipment, et cetera, are now trying to enable optimization through connection to the internet. We noted, for instance, in the manufacturing sector over the past year, the number of attacks have risen by 2,000%. And the three sectors most targeted over the past year by cyber criminals has been healthcare, financial, and manufacturing. But manufacturing is rising the quickest. And why? Our assessment is that because of the supply chain vulnerabilities that we're seeing, because of the intrinsic link between economic security and national security, and the fact that, as I mentioned earlier, everything is intertwined, those are becoming increasing attack vectors.
Yeah. Maybe just if you don't mind, I'll ask the other witnesses to comment as
Absolutely.
Well, and maybe have time for other questions. Go ahead. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Nareed?
Yes, thank you for your question. Let me say that cybercrime, right, consists, that is the term that we usually use to describe both industrial espionage and ordinary crime activities is in fact the third largest economy in the world. Like by 2025, the damages resulting from cybercrime going to amount to $15 trillion, right? And they grow by an amount of 1,500 billion dollars a year. It is a huge problem, and the efforts from, let's say, the efforts conducted in these manners are not in pair with damages that are occurring and that they are growing. So, taking it into account what the previous witness was talking about, that is attacks on critical infrastructure, especially, which are in fact forbidden by a Geneva Convention because it's actually attacking civilian infrastructure, is growing daily, and we have to take state nation actors into account, especially Russia. This is what I was trying to enforce before, right? The Vulcan files. Before we were just speculating on their capabilities, but now we are certain and we have confirmation that they are collecting data all over the world. They are compromising systems, power plants, hydroelectric power plants, electric grids, civilian infrastructure from hospitals to everything else, collecting that, scanning systematically, collecting vulnerabilities in one huge base and preparing in a way for a black swan scenario. So what I'm really concerned about is that Western countries, NATO countries, are not protecting their infrastructure in the manner that they should be. It is a huge problem and it should be addressed.